Mike Owens here, being joined by number 14 ranked UFC featherweight, Shane Burgos, who is coming off a win at UFC Long Island last week. Great. Shane, great to sit down and chat. How are things with you today?
Good, man. Can't complain. Life is good right now. Got the win last week. Not my best performance, but a win's a win. Gotta take it with a fucking grain of salt, I guess, and on to the next one.
See, that was my first question. I'm kind of happy we've got a little bit of time since the last fight because I know you weren't happy with your performance. But has your opinion changed on it, or is this still the same and you still got a level of disappointment?
No, a little bit. I'm still disappointed in the third round, obviously, and just not getting the finish. I really thought I had that finish going in the first round. I thought I had it. Second round, obviously, I thought I had it too, and then my legs just completely shut off going into that third round. Never experienced anything like that before. Super frustrating to have more in the gas tank. Feel like I wasn't. I could breathe fine, but my legs were just fucking. They were like, you know what, we're good. And they just took the round off. It was super frustrating. Physically, it was very, just being in that moment, I was like, fuck, man, come on, just fucking move. My legs just wouldn't wake the fuck up.
I wanted to talk about the leg situation because I've seen you talk about this in other interviews. And what I'd like to know is what was the kind of overriding emotion when that happened? Was it fear? Was it panic? Was it confusion? What did you feel in that moment when your legs just weren't there at the end of the second?
Well, I've never experienced it before. Like I said, I've experienced it in training, like in strength and conditioning and like doing bike sprints and stuff like that. But usually when you feel that, you're done with the workout. Yeah. Like to be done with the workout and then have to go do a sparring round after, I can't imagine that. So I've been in that position before, but it's usually at the end of training, the last round. I've never been in that position where I had to go fight another round. So it was all mental. I had to like bite down my mouthpiece and just be like, all right, it's gonna be 5 minutes of fucking hell. But like I said in other interviews, there's nothing I can't do for 5 minutes. So I bit down on my mouthpiece and I considering that my legs were completely gone, I don't think like he definitely landed a lot of shots, not taking anything away from it at all. He 100% won that round. It was probably one of my worst rounds in my UFC career, honestly. But I was never hurt. There was never any point where I was like, oh my God, I'm rocked or anything like that. He definitely landed some good shots, but I was never in my head, just telling you guys the complete honest truth. I was never hurt. I was never in my head like, oh, I need to be done. I was 100% like, all right, just got to survive this a little bit, weather the storm, and I'm going to be good at it because I knew I had the first 2 rounds.
Yeah. When you mentioned there about mental strength, I'd like to know where personally do you feel like your mental strength comes from? Where's that come from?
That's a great question. I don't know, but I know that I don't really brag about it a lot, but I know that I'm mentally a lot stronger than I think 90% of these guys. Even just the fact that I can make 145, like people don't know how much of a strict diet I go on to make 145. Like I count every single thing I eat for 6 weeks going into my body to make 145. Like there's my brother's like, yo, you want to try this? Want a bite of this? Want a piece of beef jerky or something? Like I don't have my food scale. I can't weigh it. I don't know what it's at. If we're going out to dinner with my family and stuff, I bring my own food. If I don't bring my own food, then I just won't eat. I'll wait till I get home. Like super strict with that. So mentally, I feel like that I think that translates into my fights too. Like there's nothing. It's 15 minutes a fight, 25 minutes max. I feel like there's nothing I can't do for that amount of time. So I don't know exactly what I can attribute it to, but I know I am one of the most mentally tough guys in the in the world of the entire sport.
We never mentioned this the first time we spoke, and it kind of bit at me that I never, because I did want to mention it. I'm going to go out on a limb and say something now that I think you've got the most preposterous size and build for your weight class. I don't know how you weigh in at 10 stone 5, Shane. What's the secret? What's the magic? How do you get to those that weight on that scale?
Like I told you, I everything I eat for like I need 6 weeks. That's my thing. I need 6 weeks, 8 weeks total for the camp. 2 weeks of eating clean, then 6 weeks of I'm counting every single thing I eat. I'm measuring every gram of protein, every gram of carb, every gram of fat that goes into my body. And it's super monotonous and it's mentally fucking fatiguing. So with that being said, I am considering going to 55. That's a consideration of mine, just to make my life a little bit easier and more enjoyable, because I do not enjoy that 6 weeks of just counting everything. It's like I said, it's monotonous. It gets redundant after a while. You're sitting there just like, I just want to fucking like not stress about that shit. And I'm not stressing about making the weight because everyone's like, how the hell do you make the weight? I make the weight, the actual cut part, me in the sauna is only 8 or 9 pounds. People don't realize it. They're like, oh my God, you look like you'd probably cut 20 pounds in the sauna. No. I'm never going to be in that position where I'm cutting that much weight in a sauna. So I'm only cutting about 8 or 9 pounds in the sauna because I'm fucking dialed in on everything when it comes to my diet, leading up to that point. With that being said, I think I do have a good frame for 155 too. I'm 5'11". I walk around the same size, I think, as most lightweights. So I do think I have the option to go up to 155. Will it be next? I'm not going to say no, but I'm not going to say yes. I think about it a little bit more. But it's definitely a possibility that you'll see me at 155 in the near future.
Do you think it's inevitable eventually? Like eventually, Shane Burgos will make it run at 155.
100%. I'm not getting younger at this point, and it's only going to get harder. And I want to enjoy my family time. Like when I'm at home, like my kids and they want ice cream and they want to do this and that, and I'm like, for those 6 weeks I can't do it, and they don't really understand why, right? So as I get older, it's going to get harder. So I'm only going to get bigger too. Metabolism's going to slow down. So I think it's inevitable. 155 is 100% in my future.
100%. Now I want to be clear that I think your last fight against Jourdain, it hinged on the first round, didn't it? In many ways, I think you won the first two, no doubt about it. But I think if there was any round that was closer, the first was the closest. 100%. Now,
100%.
Despite the last fight, I was having a little bit of a look through your catalogue of previous fights, and one kind of pattern that I noticed is you can often seem to lose the first round. Have you noticed that pattern? And if so, do you think there's a particular reason as to why you perhaps often lose the opening frame?
Yeah. I don't know I did notice that, but I don't think there's necessarily a reason other than me. I'm getting a lot of I'm computing and I'm getting reads in that first round, and I don't really put too much stock into the first round in my mind because I take every round as another fight, and I'm trying to finish the fight every single round. So the first 5 minutes, whether I'm up or down, I'm just getting reads to be able to finish the fight in the next round. So it's maybe not the smartest thing to do because you almost give up a round. Not saying that I'm giving up these rounds and letting these guys beat me. If they won the first round, it's because they earned it. But in my mind, I know I'm getting reads. I'm getting these tells. I'm trying to see things, look for the openings to get that finish. And usually, it takes me about a couple minutes just to get going. Once I get those reads, I'm able to put it on in the second and third round.
John Kavanagh's got a famous quote that you either win or you learn. Now, in this case, you won.
Yes.
You got the victory, but what is the biggest lesson you feel like you learned?
Yeah, that's why I'm a little bit more content with the win now, because it's better to it's either you win or you learn, right? But it's better to win and learn than to lose and learn. That's the fucking worst feeling ever. I've lost and learned in the past, and you got to sit there and you got to dwell on it. And this is the kind of sport where your last fight, you don't know when your next one's going to be. Like you can't just go and fight again next week. Like and if you're a basketball player, football player, MLB, all that stuff, you can go play again next week. You had a bad game, all right, whatever. Chalk it up and go play. Do better next week. You can't really do that in this sport. Like you don't know when the fuck your next fight's going to be, and you can get injured. You be out for a year. You be out for 2 years. So yeah, it's better to win and learn than to lose and learn. I definitely learned some things in this one. I was happy that I was able to show off my wrestling and grappling, because nobody knows that I can do that unless you watch my fights. We
talked about that the first time.
Exactly. And nobody knows about that unless you watch my fights before. Like even my amateur fights, I used to jump guard. So I was happy I was able to show that off. What I learned was I was forcing that finish way too hard. I put a lot of pressure on myself, obviously not just to get the win, because this was the last fight of my contract, but I wanted to get a finish in this one. I really wanted to fucking finish. And I thought I had his neck 3 or 4 times. And in my head, I was like, just the choke's there, just go for it. When in hindsight, I should have just fucking ground and pounded. I should have punched so much more. I had great positioning. He wasn't going anywhere. I should have did way more damage with the ground and pound. Maybe that would have opened up a submission, or I could have got a finish that way. So hindsight's 2020. Definitely would have ground and pounded a lot more.
I want to mention as well, because a lot of fans have gone on about this fight, like how great it was, what a classic fight, potential fight of the year for 2022. And let's be honest, Shane, we look at your catalogue, probably 90% of your UFC fights could have been fight of the night. Maybe the Kurt Holloway fight, the first round armbar, maybe doesn't get there because it was so short. But
that was a good fight up to that point.
It was, of course. It was. But we look at all your catalogue, everyone could be fight of the night. And I guess what I want to ask is, do you feel any pressure to be an entertaining fighter? Because I think to a certain extent, fans almost rely on, when they see Shane Burgos' name, it's going to be a banger.
Yeah, no, I don't feel any pressure of that at all. But it's funny because my last fight, I got so many people like they didn't see my previous fights, where like so many fans like switched up and were like, "Oh, you just want to hug, you just want to wrestle." I was like, first of all, I was looking like guys, have you not seen any of my previous fights before? I'm not a wrestler. I'm not a hugger. I'm a guy that's looking for the finish. And when I was on his back, I was trying to choke him the entire time. I wasn't trying to just lay on him and hold him the entire time. So with that being said, I don't feel any pressure, because I usually every single time you guys see me, I come to deliver. And some fans being mad about it, they probably put money on Jourdain or something like that. But I don't think that you can call me a lay and pray kind of guy after my last fight. I was trying to finish that fucking fight. So no pressure to appeal to the fans, because I know every time I'm in there, I'm trying to finish the fight. And if I'm trying to finish the fight, it's going to make for a fun fight. So if you're a real fan, I feel like you can appreciate my last performance.
Anyone who calls you a boring fighter has probably not watched your catalogue. Let's be honest. They're probably first time they've watched the UFC.
That's what I'm saying. But you get these casuals.
Yeah, of course. Have we had any updates on your contract situation? If the UFC reached out regarding a new deal, or are you still exploring other options?
Nothing yet. No option. No deal yet. We're still working on that. Probably here within this week or the next week, I would assume.
Have you kind of? I know you kind of said that you wouldn't close the door on any other opportunities, but would it be fair to say the primary goal is to re-sign with the UFC? Should the contract terms be correct?
If the contract terms are correct, then yeah, I would love to, but I have to see what the other options are. I gotta hear them out. I did it last time, and I turned down an offer from another promotion for more money that I was making in the UFC, just because I really love being in the UFC, and I don't regret that decision at all. But now I'm even further along, so I feel like I can hear these deals, and I can hear real money out there. So if you're gonna throw these crazy numbers at me, why would I not listen? Of course I'm willing to listen. I want to hear all offers. I want to know what everyone thinks I'm worth, because I know what I think I'm worth.
Regardless of what happens with this current contract situation, do you anticipate that at some point in your career you will fight another organization, or if it was okay, would you just stay in the UFC until retirement?
That's a good question. I've never even really thought of that. Being in the UFC, I thought I would just stay in the UFC and retire in the UFC. But being in this position now, where I can hear these other offers, let me hear them, and then I can answer that question after I hear all the offers and I have all the stuff on the table right now. But no deals have been thrown at me yet, because legally I can't.
Of course.
Whatever the word is, I can't negotiate with other organizations for the time being. There's like a period of time where I have to wait. Yeah. So we'll wait that out a little bit and then go from there.
I'll ask you a different question then. Regardless of the UFC, which organization has the best belt? Which one would you like to put above your shoulders because it's the coolest?
Well, see that there's we talk about looks, because if we're just talking about looks, I think right now, I think Bellator might have the coolest looking belt. Okay. If we're talking about what the actual title means, you got to say UFC. But then if you're talking about money wise, PFL, you win $1 million if you get the belt. One championship belt is pretty cool though too. I actually like that one a lot too. So it's between Bellator and one for looks wise. UFC, obviously, there's no bigger belt in the entire world than the UFC belt. But then again, PFL, you got that $1 million. That belt means $1 million. That belt means you're fucking paid like a pro athlete too. So yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, of course. As I mentioned at the top of the show, for number 14 ranked, I think should you stay in the UFC, it's got to be a guy above you next. You've paid your dues after the back-to-back Barboza and Emmett losses. You've re-established yourself as a top featherweight, beating these young guys, trying to get your name and trying to get your spot, I should say. But I remember, I think if memory serves, in the post-fight press conference, you mentioned Dan Ige and the Korean Zombie.
Yeah, those would be fights.
They are certified bangers. Neither of those guys comes to lay and pray, as we referenced earlier. Are they kind of those entertaining opponents or ones that you presume would be entertaining? Do they excite you even more? Do they get you out of bed even more?
Hell yeah, 100%. Don't get me wrong though. Like if you give me those, like my last two fights were guys that weren't ranked. But there's even more pressure on those kind of fights, because it's like if you don't fucking win, then you look stupid because you're the one that's supposed to win. You're defending your spot. So for those fights, I'm waking up and I'm training my ass off just as hard as if you get a guy like fucking Edson Barboza, Josh Emmett, Korean Zombie, and Ige, because you know what I'm saying? Like there's more pressure on me to win because I'm supposed to win. Those fights though, those are those fights that you just, I can't even put into words. You just know, like, oh, this is gonna be a fucking fun one. Not to take anything away from my last two opponents though, because I knew those on paper were gonna be fucking awesome fights too. I'm almost at the point where anytime you give me a name, I just know it's gonna be a fun fight. Like I haven't gotten an opponent in the UFC where I'm like, oh, this fight's gonna suck, like, or this fight's gonna be annoying, or this fight's gonna be this or that. Every single fucking fight I've had, every name that I've had, I've been like, shit, this is a good fight, whether they're ranked or not.
I was just about to say that actually, when you even think about it, yeah, every single opponent that you've had has been an absolute banger, even as far back as when you think about Calvin Kattar early on in your run. Look at what a rematch that would potentially be. But do you think that's been a conscious decision from the UFC matchmakers to kind of match banger versus banger, or do you think it's just happened coincidentally?
I don't know if they planned it at first, but I think that it now I think they planned it, because the first couple of ones they were giving me were not bad matchups, but they were a little bit more even matchups, and that, like, when it comes to banger versus banger. But now it's like they're just throwing all the bangers at me. They know that, all right, Shane's gonna come to fight. This guy's gonna come to fight. Let's just put him in there and let's see what the fuck happens.
Well, as I mentioned, every fight's a banger, and I'm sure that what the fans want to know last on this interview is, in an ideal world, negotiations, injuries aside, when can we see Shane Burgos back in the octagon? What's a good timeline for the return?
Before the end of the year, I would love to come back. I would love to be back before the end of the year. I don't know the exact date. That November 12th they have the MSG show. But I'm not opposed to fighting outside the state. I've done it 7 times. I'm 7-0 in New York, which is awesome. Love to be able to say that. But I honestly, my favorite part about fighting in Long Island was fighting at 2:30 p.m. That was fucking awesome. Last time I fought in Long Island, which is almost exactly 5 years ago, I fought at 4 p.m. So if you're gonna put me in New York, I give me the early time slots, because I'm not a morning. I'm not a night guy at all. Like, my last fight at MSG was 10:45. Around that time, dude, my ass is in bed, knocked out. I got 2 kids. I'm like, I'm not a night guy like that. When it's 10:45, I'm ready to, like, in my 3rd dream by that point.
Have you ever fought out of the US in the UFC?
I fought in Ottawa, Canada, when I fought Cub.
Okay, so to an Englishman that doesn't really count, because that's one in the same country. But if I whispered the name Arnold Allen in the O2 Arena in London, what would you say about a potential fight in the UK?
Oh, that would be a banger. When are they going to the O2 Arena? Are they going back?
Hopefully. The big hope over here is I'm from Liverpool, so the same city as Darren Till and Paddy Pimbley. And Liverpool Football Stadium is a 55,000 seater stadium, and the hope is eventually to do it there. So who knows? Maybe we could see Shane Burgos versus Arnold Allen in a football stadium in Liverpool one day.
That would be a fucking wild, man. A football stadium too. That would get my blood pumping.
Well, it gets my blood pumping thinking about it, and I think that's the best place for us to end. So, Shane, thank you for your time Thank you for your time pre-fight, and thank you for your time post-fight. It was great to catch up.
I got you, man. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Appreciate your support, brother.
Before we finish, Shane, how can people find you on social media, and any sponsors you'd like to plug, anything like that? The floor is yours.
Yeah, you guys find me on Instagram at @HurricaneShane_ and Twitter at HurricaneShaneB. And then just thank you to my team Tiger Showens, and Team Believe Elite Athletic Training. And thank you to all the fans and supporters, my family. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. And thank you again for having the time for me.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.